start a new financial year, 2022-2023. Thank you, and of course, for choosing to be with us on Good Morning Uganda on yet another day. Now we'll just get into a very good conversation, thanking Robert Chirabo Nyonyi-Ntono, who was here with the Executive Director from the Retirements Authority, teaching us, of course, how to save and how to manage our life thereafter, especially when we are still strong like now, that you can't do this and that. What happens when your body starts to wane and when your energies now get to frailty. Well, back to our conversation. Today we will be discussing and talking about the World Food Safety Day. With me in studios, two guests from the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, and I'll start with I'll start by introducing Dr. Mwesige Theophilus. He's the Assistant Commissioner, Veterinary Public Health from the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. You're welcome, Dr. Mwesige.
Thank you.
Happy to have you in studios this morning.
Same to me.
Briefly, what is veterinary public health?
Veterinary public health, that is a very, very good topic, but generally, here we are looking at all factors that are necessary, all factors that are necessary to control diseases or any form of contaminant to move from animals to man. So our work is basically to control all those contaminants, diseases, or generally hazards.
Because majority of us sleep with our animals in our houses.
We sleep with our animals.
We sleep with our goats, we sleep with our rabbits, we sleep with our cats, we sleep with our...
I don't know, but you are aware that I think it has often been mentioned that at least 70% of all diseases in humans come from animals. So that's where veterinary public health comes in important, and veterinarians play a key role in preventing those conditions.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you so much, Dr. Mwesige Theophilus, Assistant Commissioner, Veterinary Public Health from the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. Together with him in studios is Mr. Mukasa Tombo Kenya, and he's the Commissioner of Fisheries Control Regulations and Quality Assurance, also from the Ministry of MAIF. You're welcome, Koja Mukasa Kenya.
Thank you, sir.
Happy to have you. Yours is on fisheries, fisheries control and regulation. What do you do on a daily? What do you do, for example, when you leave studios here and go back to office?
Okay, our work basically in fisheries control, regulation and quality assurance, our objective is to see that we have sustainable exploitation of the fisheries resources, so that we have food for today, fish as food for today and for the future generation. So we want to see that we maximize exploitation, but at the same time observing that we harvest sustainably.
Okay.
Yes.
People have always had a problem with, I think it's called Operation Bacalast, the bad fishing and all the things.
Operations.
Yes, I don't know, from the time that we had the operation from the ministry now, have we done any better? Have we tried to preserve our fish? Because aqua life is being decimated in this country.
Okay, thank you, sir. It has been a very big challenge since I think now it is coming to 3 decades. We've been struggling to see that at least our fish is safe for human consumption. And for the last 3 decades, we've been able to position ourselves, and we've put systems in place to see that at least we have good fish for our people here locally, and we have been able to export to the European Union and other countries.
Okay.
So we've been managed to put some strategies as we shall be communicating this today. But we have been able to move. Of course, there are also challenges, and some of the challenges are coming from the environment, issues to do with the water quality, because fish live in water, and in order to have safe fish, we have to see that where they stay, the quality of the fish, the water is good.
Well, thank you. Let's get to our conversation today, and we talk about the World Food Safety Day. I know that this day happens on the 7th of June, and it is the 30th of June today. Why would you even in the first place talk about World Food Safety Day today, when we actually concluded it on the 7th of June? And what is it, for somebody to actually understand what Food Safety Day means?
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Mukasa, it's
Okay.
your turn.
Okay, World Food Safety Day, yes, it was celebrated on 7th, but Uganda, we are having the whole month
Okay.
celebrating this day because of its importance, and the whole month we dedicated it. And Uganda, this is, I think, the first time we're having these celebrations, World Food Safety Day, with a theme where we have safer food, better health.
Better health.
Better health. You realize that when food is very important for our health, but if it is not well handled, it can cause treatment problems to our health. So we think that now we want to bring everybody on board to know that safer food is good for our health, and it can also contribute to the prosperity of our people, so long as the food is handled well.
Okay. Dr. Mwesige, is food safety the same as food security? Because we've always talked about food security, and food security systems, and food insecurity. Is it the same thing when we talk about food safety and security?
To me, I can say that they are the same. Food security, food safety. You cannot have food security when the food you are producing and giving to people
Is unsafe.
is unsafe. So you have to produce safe food, ensure that it is safe. You have to ensure that processes that lead production of that food from production up to the fork, all those processes are well regulated, are well controlled, so that the food that comes out is safe for the public for the public use. That's when you can talk that now I'm food secure. You cannot give food that is not safe to the public, and you end up causing problems to the people, and then you say you have food security. In other words, you are causing food insecurity.
Why would we even celebrate Food Safety Day? Because we've all grown in villages, for example. It's maybe our children who have grown in the cities here, but we grew in the villages. I'm very sure, Dr. Mwesige, you grew in some village somewhere, where you grew up just getting up in the morning, go to the garden, dig, plow, do all these things, and there was food at home. Go to school, come back, there is food today, food the other day, and we've come of age. And people know that it's just food anyway. Just go, people know. In our area, it's cassava. In our area, it's wimbi, mutama, or millet, sorghum. In our area, it's matoke. In our area, it's this. People just do that. Why should we even talk about safety of the food?
Well, from your first question, you said why should we celebrate that Food Safety Day? First, we have food in Uganda, plenty of it.
There's plenty of food.
So we need to celebrate and thank God for that.
Okay.
But then, Food Safety Day, we need to mobilize our people. We need to bring to their attention that the food we have has to be safe for us to utilize it properly. So we have to mobilize them, we have to talk to them, we have to sensitize them, and give some of them the capacity to be able to detect, to prevent, and manage food control system, so that whatever comes out of it is safe for the public. So this celebration, and in fact why it is good that it has extended throughout the whole month, is to create awareness to the people, to tell them that we need to have safe food for us, for our own health, for our economic prosperity, for the market, and the like. So this is an opportunity for us to talk to our people about food safety. Yes.
Well, very important. Mr. Mukasa, people know that they go to the garden,
Yes.
plow their food, cultivate their food, have it in maybe silos and all the things. And when we talk about safety day or food safety, somebody will ask, but of course we get our matoke from the garden and eat it. None of our children is sick in the house. None of us is sick in the house because we ate matoke, because we ate kalo, because we ate anything. What makes our food unsafe that we need to promote safety?
Okay, when we are talking about food safety, we are looking at the issues like I said in the beginning, that it's something good to have food, but again it is something to have good food, safe food. People go to the gardens. Some people are harvesting their beans and what have you, and the way they handle the beans, the way they handle other food items, could be very safe to the human health, you realize that some of these might not be in the short run. You might not realize it, but after some time, some of those health problems can manifest later. A point in case is that we have realized that in these days when people handle or dry maize,
post-harvest handling.
exactly, when they just put them on just dry on bare land.
On tarmac, especially
Just
when you drive to.
If you drive along, yes.
Yes, Busembatia, about Namutumba up to I think Mbale. Yes, food is just put there.
And that food is always affected by aflatoxin. Aflatoxin is a toxic component or items that always go there, and in the long run it causes cancer. But many people don't realize it because we might not find out. I mean, we might not be able to know who has taken it and who is going to get it. But for us as government, we have to come in and protect our community and tell them that no, please, we've been doing this one for the time memorial, but now let us improve such that cases of cancer that are coming in these days can be reduced. Yes.
Okay, and I think, yes, there's a challenge with post-harvest handling where people do not know how to manage food at time of, I think, harvest. But how about before that, when we're just starting the process, because now you'll notice that things have changed. We no longer have the organic indigenous seeds like we used to. We now have so many things. There's so many modifications, quite a number of things that have happened to us.
Yes.
The pesticides that we use, the acaricides that we use, and quite a number of things that we actually use either to get quick yields or to get plenty or to get quite a number of things very fast, very quick. Ordinarily, we knew that if you are plowing or planting beans, this is the period that will, and we could even enjoy the beans. You could even eat the leaves as they're growing. Then you get there. By the time you actually eat the bean itself, you've enjoyed all through the way. But there are lots of things happening to us: the pesticides, the acaricides, the soil itself has I think come of age, and etc. How about there? What do you as government advise and help the people to manage that process in as far as safety of the food is concerned, even before we get into seeing the food on the table?
Okay. Yeah, that's...
Oh, you want to start on it? Yes. Okay, but Dr. Mwesige.
Okay, thank you for bringing that one out. So in the food process, we have what we call the food chain. That is looking at food production right from the farm up to the table. You move from the farm, that is production, transportation, marketing, then processing, and what. So at every stage, there is a potential of food getting what contaminated. At production level, the drugs we use, the chemicals we use in the crop section, some of them have negative effects. And unfortunately, the effects may manifest after some period of time. So that's why people keep on celebrating that now we have been producing our food, eating it, and now what are you telling us about? But we have to bring to their attention that please, the production practices we are using, transportation measures, the marketing measures, the processing measures have to be like ABCD. You have to follow the standards and guidelines in place. You have to ensure that whatever chemicals and drugs you are using are of safe, or you need to observe some withdrawal periods. I think that is not a very hard word. If you have your animals, you have treated them, you have to observe those withdrawal periods so that to avoid some residues. To avoid residues being taken up in the feed itself. So this is the time for us during these months to bring all these issues out to the population so that they can understand what we are talking about, so that they can understand what we mean when we talk about food safety or food security. So the control methods we used, compliance that have to be followed when we are producing food at each and every stage. This is the moment that we have to tell the people on those processes.
Ndugu Mkasa, koja.
Yeah, okay, similar to that. Of course, we cannot do away with the use of chemicals. But what we are emphasizing as government is appropriate use of these chemicals. Of course, the technical departments are always there in the field, either at the district or at the ministry, and we always emphasize appropriate use of those chemicals. Talked about how alkalies have to be applied to the cattle, and also other fertilizers to the crops. The crop area. So the emphasis is how much can you apply, when and how. That is the most important thing, and that is why our communities have to know, so that they just don't. They just don't go and just apply anyhow. Otherwise, the soil will be depleted. The crops are going to have some problems with the food safety issues, and also even in fish, we observe that at least we need to know, if we are going to preserve our fish, how do we preserve? If we are going to use maybe smoking, what type of wood do we? Because some of those trees might be poisonous to us and can go through the fish. So we have to, the people who handle the fish have to get to know what type of chemicals to use, when and how. That is the most important issue here now.
Dr. Mwesige, well, now you coming from veterinary public health,
Yes.
About 2 years ago, I want to remember, I think it was before COVID came in, around 2019, we had a census. We had an animal census in this country. And of course, to just know how much we have in this country, how much in terms of livestock that we have into this country. And of course, this showed one thing, that in as far as meat production is concerned, this country is actually up there. When you look at how many cows that we have, the goats, the pigs, etc., etc. But when you talk about food safety, what are these impending challenges, for example, when it comes to maybe meat production or beef production or something like that? Because we had a problem in this country not so long ago of what they called formalin. You remember formalin, that they use formalin, I think, to preserve to preserve the meat, the beef, etc., etc. And of course the vibe was, but the same formalin that they use to preserve dead bodies. Now somebody would actually start thinking, if they're eating a piece of meat, beef here, then they look at themselves as if they're eating human flesh from some, because they use the same. These challenges, what needs to be done to ensure that if we get into, I've had an opportunity personally to go into the city abattoirs here, at Kalerwe, at wherever, to see how many animals they slaughter a day, and you just wonder that this is actually all the production that I can spend a whole 3, 4, 5, 6 months without eating a piece of meat, but this meat is actually filled everywhere in the country. What are the challenges that you find in especially securing safety of such foods like meat or beef production?
So that one is also a bit wide, and looking at the value chain, we have challenges at production level. We have challenges at marketing. We have challenges at transportation. For example, that one of production, we have already mentioned the improper use of veterinary drugs and other chemicals. So when it comes to marketing infrastructure, we lack some marketing infrastructure. We talk of livestock markets, but people look at structures constructed, put in place, but they don't know the use. Those ones have a bearing in animal receiving, examination, and seeing animals off after the sale. They are specially constructed so that whatever animal is brought into that market goes out and well received at the abattoir, such that it is in a good condition to ensure that whatever meat is produced from that animal is safe. So when it comes to transportation, there are also challenges. The vehicles or vessels we are using to transport animals are not of the required standard. So you go to the place itself, the slaughterhouses. You have talked of the Kalerwe. Everyone can be a witness that that is not an abattoir that is up to standard. So what we do as the ministry, or anyone responsible, we have the Ministry of Agriculture plus other partners, we have the UNBS and what, we put guidelines in place, we put standards in place, we have laws and regulations to be followed. So what is necessary for our people? For our people in that business to comply to the guidelines in place, to comply to the standards in place, to be able to listen to advice. At MAIF, we are open to everyone. If you want to put up a facility, say if you say that I want to deal in the business of transporting animals, you just come to us and you inquire from us what type of vessel or what type of transportation vessel can I use. Then we can give you the specifications for you for that particular vehicle. If you want to set up a slaughterhouse, you can come to us. We have guidelines in place. We can get you to put up a good facility that will help you to make business. So we have my colleagues, the career people, okay, they are in their business, producing meat that is not of the quality we need, and they don't know that they are losing out, because we have had many people coming to us, I have got my market, an external market, I want to export meat. The question is, where are you getting that meat? When he mentions career, we cannot give you, we cannot clear you. So people are losing and yet they don't know. So I think what we need to do is to understand each other, come together, we see how we can improve our facilities and everything to do with meat or food production. That's what I can say.
How do we need to do it to ourselves? Because you just mentioned a very important point here. The license, I think, what you give are what you call the phyto certificate, I think, yes, for those, the phyto certificates, for those who want to. Now, you will find the one Jagenda Semakula who will want a phyto certificate because I want to take this meat somewhere abroad. And I would want to do my best. But then again, you'll find the Jagenda Semakula who has a slaughterhouse, and he doesn't care what Mwesige eats, he doesn't care what his Koja Mukasa eats, he doesn't care what is, you know, he doesn't really care. He says, after all, I'm exporting this, I'm not taking it anywhere, so anybody can eat whatever they want. But what needs to be done for us to actually emphasize that we manage it the very best way that we're supposed to do it. For example, I don't know whether there's any problem. I am not a scientist. I am not a scientist and I don't know science. But isn't there any effect to the animals, for example? You put an animal on a truck from Mbale, and its tail is tied somewhere and you know, hanged somewhere. It's one of its legs is actually hanging outside the truck. Another is actually on top of the other. Then they're actually being flogged as they're coming. And I'm only thinking, isn't there no problem by the time it gets here? Taking it to the slaughterhouse itself, you know, just getting it into the slaughterhouse itself, the trauma, the pain and everything that it goes through, doesn't that affect the meat that we eat? Because at the end of the day, we want the meat to eat and we'll eat the meat. Doesn't it have any problem or effect? Koja Mukasa, just before you go for the break, say something about that.
Of course, maybe it would be going to that one, but
to the doctor.
The doctor.
The doctor should talk to us about that.
Now, for that one,
the vet doctor.
You have been answering some part of the questions. Yes, there is an effect, and a major one, by the way. Those external markets, even our internal markets here, for example, we have some premium markets within here, those premium supermarkets and whatever, they emphasize that they need quality.
Quality, yeah.
So that poor transportation methods, where the animal is stressed, where it's pushed, where it is, the tails are hanged and whatever, it has a negative effect on the quality of meat that is produced. And more than that, we have other products coming out from that animals. Recently, we have been in a tour, in our department, we have been in a tour, we have been meeting other processors, non-edible processors and non-edible animal product processors. And we visited one tannery, and they were telling us that the challenge we are facing, because animals are transported poorly, the head, the skins get affected.
Even then?
So they are, which means they get affected, the grade lowers, so we cannot fetch enough. So you can see we are losing out as a country, not only on the meat aspect of it. But when
even
it comes
even
the byproducts. But when it comes to meat, the quality is affected. An animal should be properly transported in properly designed vessels. should be handled in a humane way, shouldn't be mistreated. Loading and offloading should be smooth. And when it reaches the slaughterhouse, it must rest for about 12 hours.
12 hours.
About 12 hours before it is slaughtered. So even in the abattoir itself, we have what we call the village where they are supposed to rest from. It should be cared for, properly cared for. And when it is moving to the slaughter place, it should be moved smoothly. And when it reaches the slaughter hall, I can say that it is made somehow to sleep. The method we call standing, such that by the time the time of waking up reaches, there would be waking up time. It is already what? Mid. It shouldn't see those processes because once it sees those processes, it gets stressed, and the stress has a negative effect on the quality of meat. And these markets we are talking about, leave alone the external markets. Even now, our customers, our people, some of them are getting away, especially those who consume some meat. That's why they go to these supermarkets that demand that we need meat that is quality. And the quality meat has to be handled properly from an animal that has been properly raised up right from the farm through marketing, transportation, and that.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Dr. Mwesige Theophilus, the Assistant Commissioner for Veterinary Public Health from the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, and Mr. Mukasa Tombo Kenya, the Commissioner for Fisheries Control, Regulations and Quality Assurance from the same Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. We'll take a break and return thereafter and continue the conversation over the World Food Safety Day. Very shortly, we'll return.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
The Kabaka Birthday Run 2022 is back on Sunday, 3rd July 2022 at Lubiri Mengo. This year, the run will be physical and will be flagged off by Sabasaja Kabaka at 7 a.m. Come out in large numbers once again to Lubiri Mengo. Run for a cause to fight and end HIV by 2030. Buy your ticket today at 15,000 Uganda shillings from Airtel shops at Tobani Center, New Taxi Park, ShopRite Building, Benchwanuka Street, Majestic Brands Office at Bulange Mengo. You can also buy your ticket using Airtel Money. Dial *185 *5 hash. Select Payments, select Kabaka Run, and follow the prompts to complete the payment. Kabaka Birthday Run 2022 is brought to you by UNAID, CBS, BBS, and Airtel, the smartphone network.
Football packages, great entertainment,
Sports, local content, telenovela, the movies.
There is something for everybody.
Go TV, this is where great stories live.
Get the best entertainment for any budget. With GoTV, you will have great entertainment for as little as 13,000 Ugandan shillings per month. GoTV, great stories, Zidiwano. GoTV Uganda, love it.
The Tales of Kasozi, brought to you by Uganda Communications Commission.
Hello?
Hello?
This is Kasozi. How can I help you?
Hey, Kasozi, my brother. Long time. We last met when we were at campus. It's been a while, but you are the person I'm looking for.
Campus? Really?
Hey, you don't remember me?
Okay, so how can I help you?
I'm stuck in Gulu making millions, and I need to urgently send money to my sick mother. But I can't find any mobile money agent near me. I've sent the money to your phone, as you can see the message. It might take a few minutes to come through, but I urgently need you to send the money to my mother. Let me send you her number, and you send it to her chap.
My friend, I'm afraid your mom is going to die.
What?
Because I don't know you, I never went to campus, and I'm also in Gulu. So can we meet at CPS, we talk about it?
Stay tuned for what Kasozi does next.
Tofera. Refrain from unnecessary engagement with strangers over the phone. This message is powered by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
About some of the
Welcome from the break. My name is Uganda Semakola. We continue with the conversation of the World Food Safety Day, and with me in studios, two guests from the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Mr. Mukasa Tombukenya, the Commissioner for Fisheries, Fisheries Control, Regulation and Quality Assurance, and Mr. Dr. Mwesige Theophilus, the Assistant Commissioner for Veterinary Public Health. Let's come to you, Mr. Mukasa, the Commissioner for Fisheries in here. That's another big industry in this country. We've talked about fish, and from the president, he's always talked about fish and says if we harness our fish very well, then fish can actually be another oil well in this country. But what are these challenges that you go through to regulate this industry, to manage it, to stabilize it, and to ensure that we don't lose out on our fish industry?
Okay, thank you so much. The fisheries industry in Uganda almost employs over 1 to 1.5 million people.
Are you sure?
Yes. And another 500, they are involved in processing industry. So that one emphasizes the importance of the fisheries in form of food,
safety,
livelihood, and also export. Like I said, we've been able to be in the position of exporting our fish in the European Union. And actually, Uganda is one of the third world countries to export to EU. And these ones, in order to do that, there are stringent requirements that are needed. And all along, these people, especially the EU veterinary inspectors or auditors, always come to Uganda. I think the last time they came was 2011, and they are coming back this year to see that at least we have to maintain and meet the requirements of quality of the fish we export and also the fish we handle. And this one came about because we had challenges remember in you recall in 1997 we had the problem of salmonella, where our fish, where we were getting the fish, was contaminated along the landing sites, especially at the coastal waters. And as we were trying to take the fish to EU, that salmonella was detected in our fish. And in 1998, we had the El Nino those rains,
El Nino rains,
which almost caused a problem of cholera. And in 2000, some of our careless fishermen started using pesticides to catch fish because of the boom that had been created because of the export. And that one had a very tremendous impact on our economy, on our fish, and many people lost their jobs in Uganda, and even some of the factories had to close, 2/3 of them.
Because we had quite a number.
We had quite a number. And we had to come in as government, and we put up systems that brought us back. And since then, we have been able to convince the European Union, and we've been able to take our fish to EU. And the moment you enter the EU market, then you can even export to the rest of the world. And that's why we even export to, our fish goes to America, and it also to other countries like China in form of fish maw and all those things. But maybe what are the challenges we've been facing? The challenges are basically, like I told you, is that where we get fish, the pollution of the lake, and this is coming up of so many factories that are moving along there. And we are calling upon everybody, especially those people, the industries, and such that as they leave the effluents to go to the water, they should treat it. Otherwise, but what we are doing we've been able to sensitize them, and they are doing some good work. So now the pollution is not all that much. And how do we control that one? We conduct residue monitoring programs. We have our laboratory, which we have been set up at the ministry, and we continuously get samples of the water to see how contaminated, how the pesticides and also those nutrient levels. And if we find out that it is at a minimum level, then we leave. But if we find out that the levels are coming down, up, then that's when we come into...
That's now quality assurance.
That's quality assurance.
Quality assurance.
Yes.
Do you only do that for the European market, or you do that for my market in Entebbe?
Yes, we don't do it for only the European market, because we don't export all the fish we get.
Okay.
Actually, some of our fish
is eaten by ourselves.
Is eaten by me. It is eaten by you. You find it in the market, in the market. But that is not the end, because as you realize that the fish quality has to be observed along the fisheries value chain, right from where we are getting it. That's where I told you that we need to monitor the pollution or the pesticide residues in the water. Then how is it transported? We don't want a scenario. Now we have put in place that the boats or the vessels that are transporting fish are well refrigerated from the fishing grounds and to the landing sites. And even the government has been able to construct some modern landing sites. And we've put there inspectors and also some minimum facilities that can help us to handle the fish, such that when we get the fish, it is not contaminated around the landing sites. And then from there, we have refrigerated trucks which carry fish direct to the factories. Then that one is also taking me to the question that are you only looking for EU market?
EU market.
No, we are also set some fish quality assurance rules to guide the whole value chain, right from where the fish is fished to the transportation up to the table, either in Europe or here, including the markets, including the landing sites, including the transportation, including the handlers of the fish, because we want to see that anybody who touches our fish is also free from disease, because it can also contaminate the fish. So, and we've put up a central competent authority, which is within the Directorate of Fisheries, with well-trained staff. We recruit staff who are knowledgeable and who move around, monitoring, also sensitizing and also training some of those people who handle fish. And also the factories, we put up some, in the factories we have also put up the systems that can handle also fish, that our fish should not be rejected, because during that time when they rejected our fish, yes, we are saying we eat almost 70% of our fish, but really it cost us a lot during those days in terms of the many, actually even it had spillovers to other businesses, even beer, whatever, they had a bearing on what? On the fishing industry. So we are trying to see that at least we maintain those ones. We are using system like HACCP, that is hazard analysis and critical control points, where we first of all, we don't wait for our fish to get contaminated. We have to find out where could the possible problems could come in. We come in, we control that one and eliminate the possible hazards to occur along the fishing chain.
Well, thank you very much. Dr. Mwesige, food contamination in markets, that's another very big one. When you get into markets, you notice that you walk on the streets of Kampala, you walk everywhere, and you know, food is just put everywhere. People are passing by, it is just along drainages, Emiala, and you know, this is happening there is a garbage skip there is all this, that kind of contamination, and we don't really seem to, what needs to be done for that, especially the food contamination in markets, and people just buy food there, go and enjoy it the way it is.
So that contamination along that node, that is the marketing node. So what we are doing, for example, for this one, that's what we are doing now. We need to talk to our people. We need to sensitize them that it is not healthy to get that food which is contaminated, which we are seeing, the one which you can buy in a place which is not gazetted for selling food. Ideally, there should be some stores for marketing such a kind of food, which are not there. So I think what we need to do, we need to work with our leaders, especially in local governments, such that they can gazette some specific places where such a foods can be obtained from by the population. The challenge we have as a country, most of us, we are not aware of these problems. The people are not aware. The leadership is not aware. So if we can talk to our leaders, they have the influence amongst our people. We also need to request them at least, and I think now I can tell them that they need to support us as a department, as a ministry, to help us and prioritize food safety issues. And once food safety is prioritized at the local level, they can put in place what is required to ensure that food that is given to people is safe. It is easier when somebody is aware of something. For example, if you say meat from an animal that has been slaughtered on the ground is not safe. You are talking to a political leader or an administrative leader. What we need to put in place is a suitable place constructed in a well-designed place such that meat that comes from that place does not cause a problem to the public. They need to be aware of that so that they can prioritize. They can prioritize it in their plans and put up something for the people. Remember, as local government leaders, when such a facilities are in place, they can easily benefit a lot. I'm sure somebody who's vending food, many of them do not pay taxes. But if there is
food vendors, those are also another problem.
But if food is gazetted in a certain place, it is easier to follow them up. And if there is any problem, you can easily follow it up. Yes.
Okay. And I think, when we talk about food safety, how much do we lose in unsafe ways of managing our food? Or do we even think about it? Do the people think about it? Like I said, if you go to a slaughterhouse, for example, theirs is to just, first of all, they'll tell you, these guys who do the slaughtering earn some money. I think they can tell them it's maybe 1,000 per animal. And their duty is to slaughter as many as they can to know that this is what I have. Another person will say, me, I actually benefit from these other things that come from it. I either take the head or the hooves or, and that's what they're actually looking at. Then there are these other vending women in the markets who also do the cooking, who know that ours is, if we do the skinning, then we take the offals, we take the intestines and all the interiors. And this is what everybody is looking at. But do we take time to actually examine how much we lose when we don't follow the safety measures or procedures of how we need to do the things?
Okay. There are losses. Though I don't have the calculation in my head, but you can see there are losses. For example, meat prepared from special facilities, those good facilities, the cost is higher than what? Than the other one that is produced from those funny places. And there was some sort of research that was done before I joined the ministry, and they said there was a result which indicated that about 15 or 20% of the customers are able to pay more, are willing to pay more for meat that is produced in a good environment, a good and clean environment. But because meat is produced from anywhere, somebody doesn't care. You don't buy it, someone will come and buy it. And this, the seller doesn't know about that he's losing. So if we can follow the standards that put in place, if we can follow the guidelines, then we can be able to earn more. But we are losing and plenty of it. Yes.
The chicken that we also help to broaden or grow fat or all these things, because we want to have a big piece of meat for ourselves. When I was growing, we could boil chicken for so many hours, 3, 4, 5 hours. You're just boiling chicken that you're going to eat for lunch or dinner. Now you put chicken on the stove, and before you even brush, it's ready. Before you even take a shower, over 3, 4, 5 minutes, the chicken is ready. How about these things, Doctor? Because we're rushing and it's markets. If somebody wants it to get there, I have a friend who was actually vending chicken from Soroti, bringing it to Kampala here. And when he went to some of these restaurants, fast foods, and we're actually telling him, we don't have enough gas to boil your chicken from Soroti. Because somebody comes and says chips chicken, and he has a few minutes to sit and wait. So we won't be here to boil your chicken from Soroti forever. We want that, which if Ndugu Mwesige comes and says, I want chips and chicken, then they'll tell him 5 minutes. And in 5 minutes, we'll be serving him. That's what they want. How about those other issues? We talk about food safety.
So food safety is very, very wide, and those are some of the challenges we are seeing. At production level, take an example for chicken. The chicken you are talking about. The feed you are giving it. What are the ingredients? What are the components of that feed? That is the most challenging thing. Where did you get that feed? Did you get it from the facility that is known by the ministry, that is regulated by the ministry? But when some people go behind our backs and manufacture their own feeds, they put in anything. They put in things which they don't know the end effect of that. So those are the things that come about. But where maybe as a ministry we are coming up with regulations, because we are recently, we are developing the food, the animal feeds bill. We are trying to handle that one. Of course, we are developing the bill and its attendant regulations to ensure that manufacturing food, such a kind of food, is done in a proper way. The ingredients or the components of that feed are the ones that are recognized by the ministry and that are safe. But otherwise, the situation is not good.
Okay. Yes. You want to say something? Say it.
Yes, I also, maybe if there is time can allow, I also want to talk about some the challenges in this.
Please talk about them.
Now the challenges we are facing as a sector, the ministry, both crop, livestock and fisheries. Move at production level. Do we have enough facilities? Do we have enough staff? That is a question. You know, our farmers, our producers need to be guided. It is good that under the National Agriculture Extension policy, staff were recruited and deployed at the local level. But now, we have staff at the local level who are supposed to advise and guide on proper methods of food production. Staff are not well facilitated. Leave our own funds and what? But at least someone, you recruit me, you deploy me in a certain place, at least I need to have transport. At least I need to have a motorcycle to reach my farmers. Take an example of a vet. It is today you have been called by 3 farmers or 5 farmers. You want to reach them. But you don't have transport. You have to rely to borrow, to hire a border, and you don't have that kind of money. So much as we plan for good food production, we know we have technical people who can help our people in the villages. We need to facilitate them. We need them to give them transport. And where possible, we need to establish some laboratories. We shouldn't deploy somebody in the village and you expect him to diagnose a disease. You keep on giving treatment by guessing. But at least you need to do some confirmatory test by using laboratories. So those people need to be facilitated and helped like that. Then I also need to urge our farmers at least. They should have trust within our people. They should have, between the farmers and the service providers, the technical service providers need to have some sort of respect amongst themselves. Sincerely, leaving the farmers alone to handle these drugs. leaving the farmers to handle these chemicals by themselves, relying amongst themselves. It is dangerous for us, it is dangerous for the country. The country will end up losing. So we need to do some sort of searching amongst ourselves, both the farmers and the technical service providers. Then, of course, government for us, we have to facilitate them in a way such that good work is done on the ground. So, going back to the, and I was at the production level. Now, moving to the harvesting node of the chain. Those are the facilities like abattoirs and the lake. We have what people whom we call meat handlers, people who work in the rufra, in the abattoirs. They should be healthy, regularly tested to ensure that they don't have those diseases that can affect
the meat.
That can affect the meat.
That
or
will
end
eat
up.
eventually.
They should be clean. Should put on clean protective gear. But you moved most of these abattoirs, what are people putting on? It is a real challenge and it is a big issue. Someone is putting on, okay, sometimes they get overalls, but someone using one overall for the rest of his life, he doesn't care about washing it. At least someone should enter the abattoir, bathe, put on protective gear to work in the abattoir, the gear which is clean and which is not contaminated. The meat may be safe, but you end up contaminating it.
Exactly.
So those are some of the challenges, and indeed, when we try to talk to our people, some of them respond that you are putting up some stringent regulation, but that is a requirement. It is a requirement internationally. We try to follow guidelines set by international organizations, the World Trade Organization. We have the sanitary, phytosanitary conditions and the regulations. We follow that. We have the Codex Alimentarius, standards that we put in place for us to follow, and that at the end of the day, we find that trading in animal products becomes a problem because we are not following those. So, of course, we have our national guidelines and standards, which we develop basing on those international ones.
Okay.
So, we need our people to comply, follow those standards put in place, so that we can produce safe food, which we can produce safe food for us. And we have a healthy population.
Okay.
Where I don't have the statistics, I was checking some notes. What I gathered is that around 600 million people get affected by foodborne illnesses, and of those, about 420 die annually, worldwide. So, but here the situation, we haven't followed it to find if it is happening worldwide. 420,000.
It's a very big number.
It is a very big number.
If that happened to COVID, we would all be panicking.
So,
like people die over
so they die silently. So we need to change, really.
Surely.
We need to change.
Okay. Any final comment in just a few seconds?
Yes, I just want to call our people, especially in the area of the fisheries, that they should know that fish is food.
Okay.
And safe fish also is very important for the health of our people. It's something to have fish. But then if you just be careless and you lose it, like you talked about the post-harvest losses, you know that fish is very perishable. So it can just go, you can just lose it within and then if it gets contaminated, you never know who is going to eat it.
You never know.
Could even be your relative, could even be yourself, it can even turn back, and then what is looking as good fish might end up killing our people.
Okay.
So let us protect our fish, have it safe for for our people here locally. Because, like I said, that even the markets want some of the facilities there. Of course, we are working with the local government to say that the fish we give you we give our local people is also safe for human consumption. As at the same time also we are looking for our export.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Mr. Mkasa Tom Bukenya, the Commissioner for Fisheries Control Regulations and Quality Assurance. And thank you so much, Dr. Mwesige Theophilus, the Assistant Commissioner for Veterinary, Public Health, all from the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for having allowed to join us on UBC TV. Good morning, Uganda Extra today. And of course, for enlightening us and talking more about food security. It's a clarion call to all of us, food security, because you can run away from anything. You can say, I don't want politics, I'm not interested in economics, I'm not interested in this. Nobody can say I'm not interested in food. By and large, food is the equalizer. So we need to ensure that we keep our food very safe for safer food, and of course for a better health. That's what we need to all emphasize. Thanking you so much, gentlemen, and of course to our viewers. For God and my country, my name is Jagan Semakula Zikusoka. We'll pick it up from here tomorrow. Good morning and shalom. Thank you.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.